Hi everybody, welcome to the Black Country History Hunter. Today we're looking into the Bromley pit disaster. Roll the credits. It was a dark morning, 1864, January the 11th, cold. I've seen evidence that it was snowing on that day, but there's nothing in the reports to say that was here. Okay, so a little bit of context. Round us we've got Rookery Park. Rookery Park has always been known as a rookery, I believe, because rookery is a derogatory name for an area built up with lots of people living in not many houses. Now if you look at the map now, you can see that it's a small area and it had a lot of people living there. I want to try and find some census information, but 1864, going back quite a way. We've also got Rookery View up at the top of Tiled House Lane, which is looking down on the rookery. You can see why they call rookeries slums rookeries, because a rookery is a very noisy, well-packed tree full of crows, isn't it? So yeah, so I think it was rookery for that reason, and this pit was right by it, so the men that worked and actually died here that day would have been locals, all apart from one who lived in Worcestershire, but we'll go into that in a minute. So yeah, this morning they were knocked up for work, these 6 men, knocked up by the knocker-upper. Used to be a guy that tapped the windows before bells and clocks, and that's where the term knocked up comes from, I think, you know, because once a man's gone to work, who knows. So yeah, it was not a very nice place to work by all accounts. It would have been dark, dirty, hard work, and on this day, tragedy struck. Right, so you got George Farron, 33, dead. You got John Page, 27, dead. Job Round is a name I know some Rounds, and this is in the area where I think they lived. Joseph Baker, I've also got a friend with the surname Baker. Zachariah Barker, Thomas Bate. Now Thomas, he was not from round here. Thomas Bate come from Worcestershire. Thomas, I think, might have been on tramp or a tramp. It's a guy not necessarily homeless that travels in looking for work and food. So I don't think he was a local. He was from another area, and his coroner's report had to be done somewhere else. The firm, or the ownership of the Bridgend colliery, was Messrs Jackson and Jones Pits, and it was Bridgend colliery in 1860s. Okay, we've got Bridgend estate not far away, which is named after it. Okay, so it's Monday, 11th of January, 1864. It's freezing cold, there might be snow on the ground. Thomas Jones, another local name, he's come to work early. His job is to get the horses ready to put pulling coal around in this area. So where we are now, there would have been a stable just there. Jones is there, so he's got his bridle, supposed to lift this bridle on. So he walks in with the equipment, opens the door. Now during the night, he tells the court, this was his witness statement, that the bridle the horse wore at night, his collar or his harness, has come off in the night. So the horse is loose in the stable. Not good for him anyway, and not for the 6. So as he opens the door and walks in, the horse turns, butts into him, knocks him over, and scarpers out the door. This horse then runs out the door as fast as he can. He don't get far, but just there, the pit head is. So yeah, the horse gallops towards there, slips on some steel, falls head first down the pit. There were another 6 men on the way down, and this horse heads straight for the pit. It slips on a plate, it falls down the pit, 60 yards down. You've got the men descending, hits the top of the bucket, or the skip as they called it then, breaks the skip, bang, crash, wallop. There is a gentleman down the mine at the time working, he hears the crash, he runs as fast as he can to the area where he hears it, and there he sees on the floor, tangled up bodies and steel, you know, in a right mess. He said it was mangled bodies and steel and a dead horse. So yeah, they all died. Absolutely horrific. You got to remember, guys, at the time, but back then, life was very cheap. And we've also got to remember that back then in 1864, the Civil War in America has been raging for a few years now. Death and destruction is everywhere. And then we got Richard Aston. Now Richard Aston was meant to go down in that skip. There was 6 men in. He got in the skip, and then he realised there was too many, and he got out. Guys, can you imagine? He must have felt guilt, shame. He survived that day. Apparently, the banksman nearly got done, because when they looked into it, he was away from the pit head when the accident happened. So normally the pit man, or the banksman, is meant to be at the top controlling the skip going up and down, either with goods, with coal, or with people. At the beginning of a shift, it would have been with people. So yeah, early morning, really cold, that was his job. But apparently, when the accident happened, he'd let the men go down, come away from his post and gone to the hovel, 10 yards away. Now, a hovel is a place where, you can see one at the Black Country Museum actually. Hovel's a place where you'd go first thing in the morning, your snap wagon. You know, it's a place where you'd literally be eating your snap or having a cup of tea, getting dressed. Now, you know what it's like when it's cold. You've got to remember, it's a cold January morning. When I was in the army, I remember it being freezing in Catterick, and I was training on LSWs and light support weapons and catching my fingers, and how cold and nasty and gnarly it was. There would have been maybe snow. Yeah, and these men would not have lived far away, all apart from the one. They lived very close. Okay, so it happened as it did. The horse fell down, tragedy. Now, back then, whenever there was a death or an accident, there'd be a coroner's report. Now, nowadays that's done in special places such as mortuaries, but back then it wasn't so simple. The mangled bodies were brought up to the top, which would have been here, where we are now. It's madness. Where we are now. I mean, I don't know if the guy who lives here knows that he's got a horse buried in his garden. But yeah, so they would have had them at local pubs. Now, the pubs they held the inquests at are the Rose and Crown, you know, a local pub. The Bottle and Glass in Wordsley, they held it there. There would have been several different ones at different pubs. And they also held it at the Samson and Lion in Pensnet. Now, the Rose and Crown was Brockmore, I think. But yeah, these are local pubs. They've changed a lot over the years, and I'm sure most of them have gone now, especially the Samson and Lion. I know that's gone. Well, anyway, so yeah, Samson and Lion's gone, all the pubs are gone, but the coroners, they were there, and they held them there, which I just think that's really poignant. This is Bridgend Croft, and I think this would have had a bit of a reputation. There's more than one accident that happened here. The Dudley, Earl of Dudley's pits, pit 1, pit 2, pit 3, there would have been a bit more safety, and they might have looked after the staff a bit better, a bit more well paid and a bit more organised. But personal affairs, such as Messrs Jackson and Jones, it was different. The rules weren't followed as much. It happens today. They slipped by the health and safety a little bit. So these men were hard-working men, local men, and they had to do it. It was the only work around, and it was the only work available. They risked their lives, and on this day they died for it. I mean, I can't even go on to say how many's died underneath us with pitfalls, gas damp, fire damp. These are all risks of the coal mines. I'm going to do a video on that in the future. I ain't going to go on too much about that today. But yeah, Bromley guys, we're here. Let me know what you think, guys. And yeah, some 6 men died here. This is a burial ground, and the horse is still down there, folks. Sad. They brought them up, but they didn't bring the horse up, and they would have just put him to one side. He would have been buried off into the side of one of the empty shacks, you know, just left there, buried in the coal or in the detritus. These places were huge underneath. Bridgend colliery has been around for about 100 years. You know, it was an old shaft, and it produced, I don't know what actual seam it was. There's different seams, thick seam, the 9 metre seam, the 3 metre seam. Not too clued up on the seams at the minute, but it was definitely a coal seam, and they were definitely digging coal. They definitely went down there, just by that blue car there, guys. Just here. If we dig here, we'll get a horse. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah, not nice. The Bridgend colliery disaster. 1864, 11th of January. Deep winter. Yeah, if you've got any stories you want me to cover, any disasters or anything like that, and what do you think of the disaster ones? Is it too morbid? There's so many to cover, guys. When I'm looking through these archives, there's thousands of stories that we can bring to life on this channel. So we're going from coal mine disasters. We've got a rich heritage here of coal mining and a rich heritage of industry, and a lot of that is built around disasters. I know, and it's tragic, yes, but also I think we can gain something from it. You know what I mean? We can actually learn about our history. It can be interesting because we all love a good disaster movie, don't we? This isn't a movie. This is real history, guys. So yeah, we can actually learn from history whilst observing it, and we can respect the honour of the dead. You know, we've read out the names today. These people have been remembered. Where were they buried? I don't know. Did they have a pauper's funeral? Probably. But we know a bit about them. We know they lived and we know they died, and they died in the most horrific circumstances, and they died building Britain into what it is today, and that is an industrial powerhouse, or was anyway. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep liking, keep subscribing. Let me know what you think. If you want more like this, and if you don't, I'll move on to something else. What I'm here for is you guys, really. See you on the next one.
All bells in paradise, I heard them ring. Bits gold on the outside and silver within.